Good morning, everybody. And again, my name is Ben. Actually, I have to thank Reverend Bryce, this is how I call him, Bryce, for introducing me to the group. Bryce is a guy always keep pushing me to my limit and always exposing me to different social things and in this area. So I thank him sometime with trepidation. Sometime I did them, but thank you, Bryce, for doing that to me. So always believe in me something. And again, so as you notice, I'm a French background, and I'm sorry for my accent. If those people cannot understand, you could stop me and I will take it over again. So bear with me, have mercy on me today as we're going to share my journey with you, a spiritual journey. I was born in Haiti. I won't tell you the date, but I was born in Haiti in a Christian family. And people always say that those people are fundamentalists, but I don't like that expression. So they were devoted Christian, I should say, in the Seventh-day Adventist persuasion. We go to church on Saturday, and we don't briefly, but we believe in Jesus Christ, He's our Savior, and also we have a dietary principle almost copied to the Jewish faith. This is that we have, and so this is in that atmosphere. So I was brought up. And my mom was a very, very, very devoted Christian. And my dad too, because he always trying to go out to preach the gospel to people. He believes in the gospel, saying, go and preach the gospel and teach people. And that's what he used to do. And at the tender age of 14, my dad always take me with him when he's going to spend, believe it or not, almost half a day. Not so much sharing the gospel, but rather arguing with people about doctrinal points. And this is there. I noticed something because, to my knowledge, either my dad or the people that were talking ever changed religion. So for me, looking back, it was a waste of time. And I took that decision right there to never argue with people in religious matter. However, if you ask me what I believe, I will tell you what I believe, and you could tell me yours, but I won't say who is right, who is wrong. This is because that was a waste of time. And my dad, that's what he was doing. And so at that point, I was a very, very compliant to the doctrine, to the religion, baptized at the age of 12, and I was growing up in the church. And so, however, I don't know for everybody, but for me, around 16, 18, I start questioning the faith. I start looking to see what's going on. And my dad, realizing that, decide to stop my inquiry and they send me to a seminary where I could go to school and then to become a minister. And this is at that point where I really rebelled against that, because I didn't want to be a minister. I didn't want anything to do with that. And sorry to say that, but I make enough trouble in that seminary so for them to kick me out. It was on purpose. I make them kick me out. However, my trouble starts when I get home, because my dad was so mad at me. The man spent 3 months, never exchanged a word with me in the house. 3 months. She was really definitely mad. And he refused now to send me back to school because I wasn't finished my high school yet. He said, you're not going anywhere. So finally, my mom really, I guess, after so many meetings with my dad. I don't know what they did, but finally, against himself, he decided to say, okay, all right, you're going back to high school, so go and finish your study. So which I did. However, when I finished my high school, I started dabbling in the communist, reading books about socialists, communists, all these things. To tell you the truth, it was very attractive to me because as a young man, I studied my Bible, and in the Act of Apostle, where at the church, at the infancy of the church, everybody, they said they put everything together, and everybody didn't have any needs because they share with them the wealth. And the books I was reading about communists was talking about that, where to have an equal society where everybody would have everything, you don't have to worry. And this is where I got caught up with that. And I was militing really for that, having to get some of my friends to agree with me on that. But in the meantime, I was questioning my faith to see exactly what's going on. But I think, hey, if you read the Bible, I believe the communist is pretty close to what I'm reading. And therefore, I will espouse that cause. And then start talking about communists with one of my friends. In the meantime, the government was cracking down on that. And as a matter of fact, the 17 people were executed in the public place because they caught them with some books and everything. So it was on Papa Doc, if you guys know exactly what that's meant, as a Duvalier. And he killed, he executed a public place of 17 people, young men. And so you could understand my situation. My dad panicked and they kicked me to send me to Canada. That's the way I end up here with $300 in my pocket. And he said, go, because I don't want to lose you. And this is where my life started here in Canada in 1972. I came here, but for some reason, I really never questioned my faith. I never questioned the Seventh-day Adventist doctrine. I was rather trying to expand it to see how socially we could be relevant to the society. And so I didn't have any problem. The problem I had with my religion is they wanted me to be a minister. And I didn't want that because it was too restrictive. What happened is if you become a minister, you can go have any other business. You have to dedicate your life to the church only. You can't have anything else. And my dad was a businessman, and my goal was to be in a business administration. And so that was in conflict with what I know. So therefore, but my dad wanted me to be a pastor because like Quebec, every family must have a priest and a nun. But for us in Haiti, every family is supposed to have a pastor in it. And guess what? My cousin became a pastor, and my dad was really upset with me. And to the point where one day, I was in Canada, I went back to visit him in Haiti, and they asked me to preach, which I did. And as I was preaching, he was shaking his head. And after the service over, I went to him. I said, what happened, Dad? He said, you see how good you would have been if you were a minister? Look at how the people listening to you. I said, Dad, listen, what you want me to be? A Christian, or a good Christian, or a bad minister? Which one you want? Because if you want me to be a minister, I would be definitely a bad one. But right now, why don't you suffice to say I'm Christian? But he agreed with me to say, look at your cousin now. He's very high rank in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and you would have been there too. I said, Dad, thank you very much. And I hope and that was at that time he stopped talking about that with me. And we're talking maybe almost 10 years, 15 years after I left the seminary. So he still had that in his mind. one day his son will become a minister. So, as I was saying, I never questioned my faith. And to my knowledge, I've been very faithful to it. I learned it in theology, in the biblically, so I know it very well, my religion. And so, when I came to Canada, this is where they introduced me to the theological part of the Seventh-day Adventist in Montreal. And I decided to go back to school, not to do a ministry. No, I learned about theology. And then, however, my first love was business administration. And this is where I end up going, and I get my certificate in business administration in Canada. So this is what happened to me. And then, however, the discussion about my faith it's always been, whatever I'm doing, I'm always asking why. Why am I doing it? Why? And that really pushed me to go deep and then deep and deep and to see exactly. And I end up having a respect for every persuasion because everybody get their own faith. Everybody gets a path to go. And I'm not the one to tell people, this is where I learned not to judge people, because in our religion, the Seventh-day Adventists, either you are Seventh-day Adventist, you're not. If you are not, believe me, you're not going to be saved. And so, and that's the way it was. So I came to that conclusion, no, I don't think so. It's the right way to do that. In a sense, to leave people with their conscience and then to learn and to have that relationship with God. And that's the way I say it. And so when I came to Canada,
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
That was my Chery asking me what I'm talking about. So I ended up here, went to school and finished my study. And I was living in Quebec. In the meantime, I get married and live in Quebec. And when the Parti Québécois took power in 1976, and I was shipped to Ontario. The company asked me if I don't mind to come to Ontario. I came to Ontario, knowing not a word of English, a few words, and I came here, went back to Laurier, and to study. But with that, I always want to stay on God's side. That was my motto, to be on God's side. And I get involved with my church here, and I become an elder of the church. And periodically, I preach, I help, I share my faith with people in the church, with the young people, we go. And so this is what's happened to me in my Christian journey. And I still strongly believe in God, in miracles, in God miracles, because when I came here, as I said, I came with $300. Back then, it was so easy to stay in Canada. What you have to do, you come here, you ask, they give you, let's say, 21 days to visit. And within that 21 days, you could go back to the immigration. You say, we love the country, you would like to stay. And you fill out a paper and you come back for an interview. And you have to get 10 points. And during my interview, I finished everything. I had a 9.75. And right now I was praying. I said, God, I have faith in you. I'm going to stay here because you sent me to Canada. And the lady looked at me, and that's why I love the English people. She was an English lady living in Quebec, working for the government. And she said to me, everything is okay except you're missing a quarter of a point. But you know what happened? I'm going to give it to you. So, she used a word I couldn't even understand. It was discretionary power. And I'm going to give you that point. However, as she finished to sign my paper, she said to me, "Can I say something to you?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. Don't stay in Quebec. There's no future in Quebec. Learn English and get out. Go and live in Ontario." So, and that's what she told me. And somehow I ended up in Ontario. So the reason I'm saying that is my life been a life of faith, a trust in God, and it's been leading me in every path of the way. I never really got sick in Canada that much. I missed maybe 1 week in work after 50 years living in Canada. I always find job. I always working. I have a family. We have 2 kids, a girl and a boy. And my daughter is married. I get 2 granddaughters from her. And my son 2 years ago get married. We welcome a brand new grandson in the family. And he is now a month old boy. So this is so therefore my life been always a life of miracle. And I pray God, now that's me talking here. I pray God that I will always believe in him and ask him to lead me in everything I'm doing, but also to be reasonable, to understand everybody has a path to get to him. And who am I to tell you you are on the wrong path? This is something you could decide with God. And that's my philosophy right now as I'm dealing with people in social every aspect of my life.